computer, and I'll do the backup computer as well. Hi, Barbara. Let's see. All right, I think all the recording is running. Yeah, so Barbara and Nicole, if you want to connect with me on video or chat, it's just talk, just say yes to the invitation to become a panelist. You can participate as much or as little as you want, so there's no pressure here. So for you guys, I've had COVID, I'm still recovering, so if I mute and cough, that'll be why. So we might go a little slower. My brain's just starting to work again for the first time in about a month. So I'm just going to share the screen here. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for switching on. Do you want to give us a sound check? Bottom left. You're trying now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just making sure. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen here. Find the right button. It's a bit strange using a computer again. Okay, you can resize the, click on the 3x3 matrix at the top or the webcams, and you can resize the windows, the webcam, so you can see everybody. Okay. Hi, Barbara. Okay, so. So I'm Nicolas David, man of the Centre for Conscious Ascension. Welcome to How to Help Others Transmute the Karma into the Gifts of Service with the Soul Contract Reading Training. So this webinar is really here for you guys to help others who turn away from their biggest karmic challenges because it's just too painful and hard to actually face and feel them, as they lack this spiritual map of life, of how to overcome them. That's most humans, including me. And so this webinar is about how you can help others, help them identify the core karmic patterns and how they can transmute them so they can deliver their gift of service to the world. You know, that special thing that light workers are always looking for. But I want to know first off why you guys are here, because that we formulate these webinars based upon what you need. So we'll go wherever you want to go. So the more you participate, the better. And the guys who are not on video, you can just send me chat messages and I'll read them out if you want. So you can still participate, okay? So a little bit about me. I've been doing this work for about 30 years since Frank Alpa, the founder of this work, gave me my soul contract reading, or he called it the spiritual numerology of Moses in 1990. And that completely inspired me to share this work, bring it to England, because he was based in Arizona, to bring it to England and to help share it with people, which is what I've been doing for 30 years and teaching for about 27 years of that, teaching this work to trained practitioners. So I'm here to share this with you. So it's one of my greatest passions because it opened my eyes into what was really going on in my apparently chaotic and disparate chaotic experiences. Made no sense until he gave me that reading. That was sort of one of the major turning points in my life, having that reading. So I'd like to hear why you guys are here and what you need from this, because that'll formulate the way we flow with the webinar. So if you're on video, just wave at me, big wave, and then start with Joseph, and then if you're on chat, I'll just read the chat out as we get a chance. Also say where you are as well. I'm in London, just outside London, England.
Okay, Joseph, I'm in Bristol, UK, and the reason I was interested was, well, I saw the title Transmute Karma into their gifts of service, and I thought, well, actually, I'd quite like to know a bit more about that myself and transmute my karma. So that's what got me along, and knowing also a little bit about you from back in the day through Almira. So I wanted to hear you speak, and I also want to know more about karma and how to transmute it. So I can't claim to be offering to transmute anybody else's karma at the moment. if that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay, we will get into that then. All right. So it's one of the paradoxes of life. Our greatest challenge is the source of our gifts. The very thing we avoid is the very thing we're meant to engage with to actually help ourselves and help others. So who would have thought about that? So it just seems to be the way it works. Okay, who else would like to share why they're here? If you're shy, this is a good opportunity to speak up. Nicole. And then Anne.
Hello. I assume you can hear me, is that correct?
Yeah.
I am in the UK. I've just moved actually to the UK from almost 20 years in Asia. And I'm in Tunbridge Wells, not far from London. And I'm here because I sort of felt compelled. I saw your interview, Nicolas, with Regina Meredith, and recently, actually, I think it was some time back that you had that interview. But it sort of really kind of awoke something in me. I've been on a sort of a journey of discovery and health, turning my own health around, and have recently started some studies and am considering to explore this work alongside that. But also am interested, as Joseph mentioned, in soul progression or soul contract work for myself, as, to sort of put things into sort of perspective and to place to make sense of things. I feel that sort of on my journey, I have discovered quite a lot about myself, but I think that the work that you do is really sort of quite informative and helpful, and gives quite clear direction, which I think is useful for everybody. So I hope to, in the future, be able to use the knowledge I gain, but initially it'll be sort of applied to my own life to kind of help direct. Anyhow, that's my story for now.
Thanks, Nicole. So where did you used to live in Asia? I
lived in Hong Kong for about 15 years and Tokyo for about 2 years. And prior to that, I was in London for about 8 years, and I grew up in South Africa. So
very international.
A mixture.
Yeah.
And my husband's from New Zealand, so we're kind of a real kind of melting pot.
Yeah. Oh, I lived in Tokyo before I came to England, actually. So.
Oh, really?
I found London very quiet after Tokyo. So.
Quiet.
Very quiet. Yeah, it's like a small town. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So, thanks, Nicole. Anne.
Hi, I felt compelled to retake this course again. I wanted to get back on track. I mean, I've been doing my own work, but I wanted to really take the next step and really learn and, just follow your work and just be able to use some of the information I've gained with some of the people I work with. So that's why I'm back on track.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Okay, Nikki says here, she's in the car. Apologies not being on video with a group of, she's with a group of people. She's got her headphones on, but the signal keeps dropping out. That's why she can't switch the video on. Okay, so thanks for that clarification, Nikki. Okay, who else would like to introduce themselves and share with us? Karen.
Can you guys hear me? Yes, can you hear me? Okay, so I'm Karen. I'm from the United States. I'm in South Carolina. So I came across Frank Alpert and the map like years ago, but I didn't know there was a book. And like Nicole, I had seen an interview on Gaia where you were talking about the actual books. So that was during COVID. So I bought the book during COVID, and oh my God, how accurate it like fit my life, and like where nothing made sense as to why I've been through a lot of trauma from my childhood on up. But I've always believed that my purpose would be my pain, right? And so finding the soul contract decoded just started to put everything into sense, or to have it to make sense, but I haven't done any actual healing work with it. It's just been like reading and soaking and absorbing. I'm hoping that it can to just gain some calmness to the chaos. I guess I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I used to teach in North Carolina, the work. Nice part of the world, Nashville. So yeah, it'll bring some order and clarity out of all the chaos and illusion of the ego, and help you spend 80% of your effort on the 20% of things that matter, rather than the other way around, which is what most humans do, and they just come back and do it again, which gets a bit tiring after a while. So this is about really getting on with the mission, the spiritual mission. Okay. Nikki has said here on the chat, I also want to learn how to do soul contract readings. Okay, we can talk about that. Barbara, do you want to share why you're here?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara, and I live in Florida. I'm originally from Venezuela, but I lived here for about, well, actually 10 years earlier this month. So I signed up for the webinar because years ago, probably like 3 or 4, I read the book and did the calculations on the website, although I don't remember what it was anymore. I figured the title of the webinar really caught my attention, to be of service to others. But after listening to Nicole and Joseph and Karen, I'm like, okay, maybe I should really figure out first, or remember what my contract really is, to overcreate the karma. Because as I get more consciousness, or as I get more access to consciousness, I'm realizing that it's possible for us to choose something different than what we think it's already laid out through karma or whatever, like other lives or astrology even. So I think this webinar will help me figure that out, and then learn how to teach it or to facilitate others with the contract decoding.
Okay, we'll see how we go. Okay, anyone else want to contribute? And some of the guys are just still attendees. Do you want to put anything in the chat? Otherwise, we'll proceed. Just give you a minute to think about that. Doesn't look like it. Okay, we'll get into this. So, Julia says she's excited to be here and learn. Okay, cool. So I'm going to share the screen and get into this a bit more. And feel free to ask questions at any time as we go through this. So now we know why we're all here. Okay, so back to the point, Joseph, and the rest of you. Our karma contains our spiritual gift of service. So our soul wants us to head in a certain direction in terms of how we serve humanity, which is as a light workers we come to serve. So therefore, it's going to create some karmic patterns which are going to be very challenging at a personality level. And through the law of attraction, I presume most of you are familiar with, just got to find my pen here. Law of attraction. We will attract to us some serious karmic patterns. My patterns are feeling unworthy to be loved. That's 3s in the soul contract system. And creating a lot of disempowerment, which is 9s in the soul contract system. So I created a lot of that. So my childhood wasn't particularly pleasant. It was very emotionally neglectful and abusive. I didn't feel like I was worth much. I wanted to hide away from the world. And so I used to think, oh, I got a pretty rough deal here. God gave me a really tough one here. Because I knew there was a lot more to life than what was being presented to me in the Matrix. And so there's another law called the law of opposites here, which goes with the law of attraction. So you get everything you don't like in life. So you get pretty clear what you do want. Okay. So I had lots of disempowerment, which led me to think, well, I need to move out of being bullied at school, and I need to become more powerful, empowered, stand up to my parents. I need to feel worthy to show myself, to speak up. I used to be the shyest child of children. And so that the reason for that was to learn how to communicate, for worthy to show myself, so I could teach, I could write, I could come into my own power and empower others. So I had all the opposites of that initially. So I've spent 30 odd years, I would say, turning this karma, very difficult karma, into my gift of service, which is empowering others and communicating and teaching this work. And it's not like some bad car accident we have. I mean, I know a lot of us feel like we fell off the spaceship, landed on the wrong planet. God help us. And what are we doing here? And who's this family? Which I can't relate to, that sort of stuff. So it's all part of the training, really. And so the journey we're to undertake is to go from this negative expression of our karmic patterns, which seems never ending, and to viscerally feel one step at a time our way from the negative expression to the positive expression of a particular frequency, in my case, from disempowerment to empowerment, unworthiness, to express and to be seen. I need to cough again, sorry. And the soul wants to go from this journey. It's not as if we're in the wrong place down here. It just wants to have that visceral, emotional experience in our bodies, in our earth suits, to go from one polarity to the other. That's how it learns from that emotional intensity, which is why you come into a body, because you learn so much more at a soul level by being embodied. There's a big queue to get in down here, and you sort of wonder, why would you want to do that for? Okay, it's a bit of a dumb idea. Well, there is, because learning is fast, much faster. So this is what we're actually doing. But most people feel stuck here. They turn away from this. They don't engage with this in order to transform it. So what happens is that they don't make much progress. And they get pretty bitter. And they don't look too good by the time they hit middle age or more, because they haven't dealt with their stuff. But this work is about how to make this journey, how to deal with the issues, the tough stuff in life, to overcome it. All right. So how do we do that? How do you help people do that? All right. Well, if you decide to become a soul contract reader, if you're drawn to this work, you can decode the secrets of the blueprint of someone's life from their birth name. Because the sound of the name, which the soul chooses based upon looking at all its past life experience, and it looks at, well, what's the next natural progression for me when I incarnate again, so that I can learn more, I can become more unconditionally loving. And so it creates a name, it chooses the genetics of the family, the time, the country, the culture, all significant relationships, so it can maximize its growth. And that name is programmed into the DNA. Or your name is birth name is programmed into your DNA, and into your energy fields, and to a substance called karmic matrix, which is like the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional levels of your being, and it radiates out to the matrix. In the movie The Matrix is about the closest we get to actually showing you what goes on. So the program creating a reality is within you, within your name. But if you understand what that is, It makes life a lot easier because then you know, if you know what's been created, then you can start to change it. And so revealing the soul contract or the spiritual map of life to yourself and to others empowers you and them to overcome the karma, which is the reason people come for soul contract readings. Say, well, what is this really tough thing that's blocking me? Because most people don't get past this. Helps you and them express their talents, achieve the goals in life. Yeah. Just and most importantly, manifest the soul life purpose, that special thing we've all felt, which we just wish we could get to. I'm being very lucky in that this is happening, which is expressing this work and teaching and sharing the spiritual knowledge is a major part of my life purpose. So life is a lot more fulfilling when we can do that. So you help people live more fulfilling lives, far beyond what the matrix tells you is what you need, which, as you know, is not particularly satisfying in the end. So how does this work? This is for some of the people who are new to this work. Well, we use the Star of David as a gateway of consciousness. And to come into the earth plane, you've got to pass through this gateway of consciousness and bring certain frequencies in order to express, so the soul can have a certain expression through your ego, which is like a temporary construct. It's like a filter in which you'll experience reality. And this has a large downward pointing triangle, which represents the creation of the physical life. How will you interface with the physical world? How will you relate to it? And it has a large upward pointing spiritual triangle, which is more about the mission of what you're here to do. So you spend the first 35 years, first 5 cycles of 7 years, establishing the physical life, or less, depends how fast you go. And between the ages of 35 and 42 or younger, the transition is made to more predominance of the spiritual triangle, which is the real mission. That's why people have midlife crises, move countries. Nicole, how old were you when you decided to move back to England?
48.
Okay.
How old was I, did you ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, 48.
Okay. All right, so there's major moves often when we're starting to come online spiritually. And in each of these triangles, these 3 aspects is karma, physical karma here, physical talents, physical goals. So these are the unresolved past life issues the soul puts in place to create that negative context through the little opposites, all the things you don't like. And the idea is to use your physical talents to transmute them into your gifts of service, if it's a good match. And the physical talents here, as they get stronger, help you get your physical goals. That's what excites you. That's what gets you out of bed in the morning. And as you transition to the more spiritual part of the chart, as you awaken spiritually through the midlife crisis or spiritual awakening or dark night of the soul, many names for it, the spiritual karma becomes predominant. It's all running at once. All 6 are running at once, but becomes more predominant. And this is the karmic challenge to be overcome, to access high consciousness frequencies, to deliver your real gift of spiritual service. And your spiritual talents infuse into this to overcome that, if they're a good match. If they're not a good match, it takes longer. And then as they get stronger, they help you get to the spiritual goals, what you really want to share with the world. And if you consciously work with all these 6 aspects, over time goes like this. It's percentage complete here. If you consciously work on all 6 aspects, then what happens is the soul destiny or life purpose starts to manifest layer by layer. The really good stuff starts to happen. And because you know, or your client knows exactly what's going on, they can focus their efforts and the tools they choose doing the right thing at the right time to actualize all these 6 outer aspects, and most importantly, manifest your soul destiny. Very few people actually manifest it because they actually have no idea what it is. So basically it gives you a map. I've had mine for 32 years and it's really guided me well on how to move forward. Okay, any questions on that so far? Some of you are probably familiar with this if you read the book, but it's just for guys who aren't. Okay. So Joseph, would you like to find out what is the gift of service for you? You have to switch on the mic. Bottom left. It's on now.
I'm on. Okay. Yes. Now I recognize the maps because I have been taken through that, and it's just on my bookshelf around the corner, as it happens. But what was the question?
So you've actually done your chart previously, have you?
I've had my chart done by Almira Al-Haller.
Okay, so you know what it is. Is there someone here? It has to be English speaking who hasn't had their chart done. You know, Karen or Nicole. Spanish is a bit trickier, Barbara. So Nicole, go on. You have to unmute.
Hi. Actually, I did mine briefly online recently, but I just got sort of numbers. I don't know what it means.
Okay, we'll do yours then, because I want someone who hasn't had it done before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay, Joseph. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Still there, Joseph? Oh, I've lost your video. Hang on. Okay, so Nicole, let's just do yours. So we'll put your current name in here. This is the subcontract software, subcontractreader.com. If you guys want to actually play with us, you can get 4 free charts out of this. So Nicole, what's your birth certificate name? You have to switch your sound on. Talk to me. Leave the sound on.
Sorry, it's Nicole, Nicole, as you have it there. And middle name is Margaret, Margaret.
Yeah.
And my name is Lloyd, Lloyd.
Okay. All right. Get underway here.
Nicolas, you're not, we can't hear you.
Sorry, thanks, Anne. So you're okay. I'm just going to, you
Yes.
consenting to do this, Nicole? So
Yeah, consent, yes.
thanks for that, Anne. So, right. So we entered your name. And we're just going to generate your chart here. We have the software, so it's very accurate. So there's no mistakes here. Okay. So I would ask, I'm going to talk a little bit about the chart, each aspect. So Nicole, what's the main question you have about your life? It's a good gateway to start here.
Well, I guess would be I feel that I'm sort of an enormous drive, and I have felt it since I was a baby, really, to be independent and independence. And what sort of manifested over the course of my life was sort of the complete opposite of that, is that I sort of gave my power away, and sort of childhood and teenagehood and young adulthood, it sort of all just kind of was me giving my power away. And then I ended up getting really chronically ill And so the journey over the last sort of few years or couple of years has been to sort of regain health as sort of, when I became completely incapacitated with ill health, it was, I'd lost all sort of independence. And so that was sort of like the bottom line for me. And so for me, it's building that back up again. So health, it's back mostly. And yeah, the drive to sort of be independent. And what do I do with that? I know that I have many talents, but I've sort of not ever or had the I don't know, there was something that you said about your sort of background, but that sort of resonated with me. But I sort of disempowered myself, I think. So it's, how do I, gain that re-empower so that I can sort of offer what I have been given innately to serve or be of service or be useful, as opposed to being incapacitated and ill. So it's sort of flipping that around completely.
Okay, let's answer that. So first I'll talk about how we actually generate these numbers for those who are not familiar with it. So basically the software converts the numbers into equivalent Hebrew sounds. And then what it does is it extracts the Hebrew numbers inherent within the 22 Hebrew letters we use with the system. And then we take these numbers and we allocate them a clockwise spiral around the star, like 14, 10, 11, 16, 12, 5. Let's go around, and then we just keep going round and round and round till we use up all the numbers. And then what we do is that we add up the numbers. So the total here, say in spiritual karma, is 20. Okay, so we have a 20 here, but there's also another number here, and we get the 2 by going 2 plus 0 equals 2. So there's a frequency of a 20 here, and then there's a frequency of a 2. And these are English numbers, which are labels for Hebrew frequency. So 20 is not better than 2 or whatever. It's just a frequency we're using, so we can understand it in English. And the total here, say in physical karma, total is 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus nothing is another 9. So we have what's called a double number. We have one frequency we're dealing with rather than a whole range of frequencies. We work all the other numbers out accordingly. Then we take the physical numbers, place them on the top half of this table. Spiritual numbers, place them on the bottom half of this table here. Okay, and then we add them up, and we then get a total of 81 and 27. And then 81, 8 plus 1 is 9, 2 plus 7 is 9. That goes in the middle there. It becomes our soul destiny for you, Nicole. And then all these channel symbols, these squiggly guys, Frank Alpert channeled these through. And have a specific meaning here, okay? So what's interesting with your chart, Nicole, is you've got these 9s, this big dragon energy, which is all about power, bridging your whole chart. So this is the reason you have felt very disempowered, because there's this big dragon in you at a soul level, which has had its power suppressed, but it's misused power a lot in past lives. So the ego feels a fear of misusing that power, creating self-destruction or destruction of others, which is why you created so much disempowerment in your life. Okay, and the idea is to break out of that and come into your power. So it's quite a tough one. That's why it's been like this.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. In what way?
Well, that to be independent sort of is sort of just a fierce fierce kind of a motivation for me since very young. But it seems that throughout my life, I've sort of done everything to sort of, disempower myself out of being independent.
Well, this is the whole point of it, is to actually eventually come into your power. So this will be suppression of power in childhood, school, work, relationships, you name it, it'll be there. Was that the case?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's about unleashing your dragon. Interesting you lived in Hong Kong for that long. Maybe that's what you needed. The Chinese culture, Cantonese culture has a lot of dragons, a lot of nines, a lot of disempowerment.
Yeah, it definitely, when you said dragon, it sort of, my ears pricked up, because it is very much a part of the culture, and been a part of that for a while.
Yeah, so it's about coming into your power. I just need to cough, sorry. And then learning to use that power carefully and judiciously to catalyze others to wake up. That's the mission. Okay, and to achieve sovereignty. So you're going to have the opposite of sovereignty initially, which is complete suppression. Okay, and the learning, how far have you progressed through that in terms of coming into power?
Well, health, I've completely sort of flipped around, and I have regained it. So I was diagnosed with ME/CFS, but really sort of it was a long progression of becoming sort of more and more sort of ill with multiple symptoms, and then finally sort of crashed where I couldn't move for months or weeks at a time, and it continued for about 2 or 3 years. And then sort of my determination to overcome that, because I myself, because I knew conventional medicine wouldn't be able to help me. So it was the sort of from 2014 to about 2018, that was my journey. 2019 and probably 2019-20 is sort of where I really sort of understood how to manage the health issue. So reclaiming power in that area of my life, I feel I have achieved. In other areas, in terms of being financially independent and socially sort of independent, all these things, that and being of service, what can I do with what I've learned over the last 6, 7, 8 years? What can I do with that? How do I go forward? I know I have the ability and drive to kind of transmute this all, change things around. Yeah,
Well, one of your talents here,
it's still a journey, on the journey.
oh yeah, you're going to be on a journey forever. There's no end to the journey.
Yeah,
one of the talents you have is a 7, and the 7 is all about, it's got a link which unites, and it's about opening your heart, showing the true self, and creating networks of like-minded people. It could be professionally and personally, or both.
that's incredible. Sorry to interrupt, but that's exactly what I am currently doing. That was what I decided to kind of do when I moved to the UK.
Yeah.
That was my goal, I moved in August. In August last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a networker. You're a networker to work with like-minded people. What's your profession, Nicole? I can ask that. So I got some idea what you do.
Well, I haven't worked. I studied originally out of school clothing design, and I worked in the industry, but it didn't resonate with me. I couldn't reconcile myself to the clothing industry, and it sort of faded. And then I sort of fell into working in banking, which is a completely different area, in the 90s in London, which was terrible for my health. But unaware of kind of how destructive that was, not being in the right environment again. So I sort of went off course, and then my health just became an issue that dominated. I had my children in that time as well. So yeah, I currently don't have a path, but originally it was in the creative.
Okay, well, the 9s are very creative here. See,
Right.
intuitively creative. So the 7 is not really that strong enough to overcome the disempowerment of the 9, which is why it's taken so long. Okay, because
Right.
it's a hard opening connecting energy, but this is like a dragon which has been caged up and can't get out. So it's not going to help it that much. This is why it's been slow. But the physical goals here.
Sorry, what did you say about the physical talents? The 7 and the 9, they are difficult. They don't resonate.
The 7 is not strong enough to unleash your dragon.
Right.
Okay, which is why it's taken so long.
So what would sort of a good number be in that position?
You'd need another 9.
Right.
You need to optimize your name probably to actually burn through this thing.
Right, I see.
Or you need some 8s, which are grounding, to feel your way through the multiple layers of it. It's one way or the other.
Right.
But you need more raw power, Nicole, to burn through the rest of this.
Right. Okay. Got it.
So I'll post something on name optimization on the YouTube description later. Take a note of that. Yeah.
Actually, the little bit that I do know about your work, I've got your book, I've made a start, but I'm still sort of getting to understand it. But I do remember you speaking of name optimization, and that definitely resonated with me, and something that I might look at, or I actually do want to look at.
Yeah, because the idea of that is to burn through all the patterns which are blocking you.
Yeah.
By having a name which is divinely designed by you at a higher level to help you get on with it, to overcome the challenge.
Yeah.
So the physical goals for you are about taking spiritual energies, bringing them to the earth plane and creating physical space for others to come into and learn about their goals. Okay, so does that resonate to you?
Yeah.
So how's that been showing up for you?
Well, I think that's something that I need to do for myself first. So you said bring the spiritual energies into the physical.
Yeah, and to create a space, create a physical space to help for others to come into to learn about and achieve their goals. And for you to disseminate with the 1 here, healing and knowledge into the space so they can.
Yeah, that has been on my mind actually, and that's part of the reason for being here, is that I need to sort of know who I am, and in terms of my entire being, the physical, the spiritual, the whole deal, and what is my sort of divine, my sort of soul purpose, I guess. And I feel that it resonates with me connecting to that my higher purpose is something that I want to be able to share, but yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, so that does resonate.
Yeah, I think the key for you is to unlock the disempowerment, and everything else will happen.
Yeah,
there's always the disempowering numbers in your chart. It could be 9s, 10 1s, 5s. They formulate everything else. So in spiritual karma, the lesson here is to learn to let go inner conflict. Have you had external long-term external conflict with anyone in your life?
Probably my mother, although I feel that I feel I've worked through that, and I'm able to sort of well, there were, yeah.
Who was it with? Your mother, did you say?
Mother, yeah. But I think sort of in sort of taking responsibility for my own life, I'm able to sort of let that go more, that it's not about me, that conflict. It is about me. I need to sort of, I can sort of turn it around. I haven't held on to it. So I don't, yeah.
Yeah, it's about letting it go and walking away from it.
Yeah.
If you try and resolve it, it gets worse,
Okay.
as you might have noticed.
Yeah.
It's about clearing the internal conflict within you so you can move from inner war to inner peace.
Yeah.
It's lesson of the 20. And the 2 is about learning emotional resiliency and
Yeah.
wisdom. Okay.
Yeah.
The 21-3 is the reason you've been sick and had to endure so much. The 21 is the divine mother energy, which is about great endurance. I mean, think about how much effort it takes to have kids, to give birth. It's that energy of endurance a woman has. It would kill most of us men trying to even think about doing that. Okay, so you had to go through that to build enormous endurance. So do you feel a lot stronger now you've overcome the illness? Or
Yeah, definitely.
that's the reason for it. Okay.
Right.
And this 3 here is all about making sure the sound's on. You know, the 3 here is all about becoming a teacher. You're here to communicate and teach.
Right.
You're here to pull out this plug of unworthiness sitting in this 3. So that the 3, you can access the vast library of soul knowledge and express it in the world as a communicator, teacher. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason you're in banking is to learn about the improper use of power, masculine power, and to learn about wealth and poverty consciousness. Because this is wealth and poverty consciousness as well. That's why you're in banking. And the reason it didn't fit because it's very patriarchal.
Yeah.
Which would have really rubbed you up the wrong way.
Definitely.
Seriously. But that's the reason you're in banking. Okay. And the spiritual goals here are this 5, which is like this fetus. It's all about taking the abstract, high frequency energy of pure spirit and bringing it and growing it to the earth plane to speak total truth. So did you get into a lot of trouble for speaking the truth as a kid or at any time in your life?
Yeah, that resonates. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about doing pioneering knowledge, bringing pioneering knowledge through and speaking total truth to the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to cough once more. So overall, you're here to come into your power, open your heart, create networks of people, hold space for others to come into. I'd say very much networking people to teach them and communicate with them. Pure truth. That's why you're here.
It's incredible how all of that resonates, and this journey that I've been on, I sort of had that in my sphere. I don't really know how to articulate it, but what's remarkable is that here is a system that can actually sort of very clearly articulate all of that to go forward. Yeah, that's fascinating.
And one of the reasons you're attracted to the system is that people who are attracted to the system often have 5s because they want the absolute truth. And you know when you're not hearing the truth, which is most of the time in the matrix. I got these and I was thinking everyone's telling a lie. No one's speaking any truth at all here. That's what I used to think as a teenager. Or if you have 11 2s, which is about looking for the structure of how life works. It's very typical of people who are attracted to this work. So most of you probably got either one or both of these. This is why you're here. You're searching for the absolute truth. Okay, that's why you're drawn to it. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely resonates. Yeah.
Does that give you some clarity now, Nicole?
Yes. I feel a little overwhelmed, so I took in what I could.
Well, you can watch the video later and absorb a bit more.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
Strong transmission. So, and the ego can only handle so much truth because it's spent its entire life stopping you from getting to the truth.
Right. Thank you very much.
Most people take in about 15-20% of what's said because the ego just starts to phase out because it's trying to resist the truth. Okay, because once the truth is known and what drives you, its game is busted. It can't hide stuff from you anymore because you just found out what's really going on.
Yeah.
and you can't put it back into
I
hiding.
love that. I love that this does that.
That's what this does. It blows the ego's game completely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
That's what you've just done there. Okay. That's why I needed to do it with someone who hadn't had it done before. So how does this help you if you're interested in using this work to awaken others? Here's what it does. Okay. As a facilitator, a therapist, or whatever you do, it gives you a profound understanding of your clients or your students' issues immediately. I mean, I know more about you than your mum, Nicole, now, in that 15, 20 minutes. And it can accurately guide you through all the work with the people you're with. It builds immediate trust because you know it's true and I know it's true. So we're not messing around and playing games anymore. So therefore you get a lot better results in terms of moving forward and breaking through all the programming in the soul contract. Because the ego is just being sliced open with pure truth, and you've done a huge amount of work just by acknowledging what is already there, which could take months or years of often a lot of other therapies. So you can get on with actually clearing the stuff. So if you're interested in helping people with this, basically, we have a 5-day training, and it helps you understand yourself and everyone else in your life completely. And it also almost becomes an addiction. Once you realize what it can do, you want to find out about everybody. Okay. So, and you learn how to give these readings based on people's names, how to interpret the energies in the name, just like we've done with Nicole, with the 22 letters of Hebrew. We open you up to channeling your intuition and your guidance team who help you with this work. It's the whole team that delivers this work. And you learn experientially. Because of the 11 twos and fives, most practitioners have, they tend to want to read the book and memorize it and learn it all. So the book is based upon the manual. It's a subset of the manual. Some things we can't put in a book because if you come to training, you'll find out why. Some of the other interpretations are very strong. It's not safe to put them in the public domain. But basically, we do not go through the book. We use the names of the birth names of the students, and you spend 3 days getting a transmission of what each number means from someone who's lived through it. And you'll never forget it because they'll tell you about the pain and the joy and everything else in between of living that number. So we basically do little mini readings on 1 or 2 aspects of people's charts. So basically you spend 3 days getting a transmission of the energy. So it's not about learning the work, you start to become the work because it's a bodily transmission. And experiential learning is much more powerful than just talking to you, to your mind. It's taken us 30 years to figure out how to do this. But what we're doing is we're reawakening the work in your DNA. So you actually become it, not learn it, you become it. And then you spend day 4 and 5, we teach you how to hold space to deliver readings to other students in the class. You get 2 practice readings of giving and receiving. Most people are shocked at how good they are because they hadn't realized they'd become the work from the first 3 days. Okay. And we help you, we support you after the training to actually, we have a Facebook group for all practitioners, peer-to-peer support, but we also have an optional support program to help you launch yourself out in the world in terms of using the work, how to prepare charts, how to deliver it, how to get yourself going with your business. Because our aim is, if we're going to train you, is that you make a difference. You wake up a lot of other people so they don't have to suffer anymore in the unconsciousness of their contracts. So what people will receive from you if you learn how to do this and you're drawn to it there's a sense of deep peace because they hear the truth. How do you feel now, Nicole, having heard all that?
Well, quite excited, because a lot of what you said, I've sort of put it, you know, I've started the journey, and yeah, I've started the journey. So I recognize a lot of what was said, and I sort of feel buoyed by it, motivated.
Yeah. And there's a feeling of relief when people receive this, because they realize there actually is an order and meaning to their life. It's not some big, bad car crash. There's a reason for it all. So there's a reason for it all, and you understand what's creating it. That means the next thing people start to think, especially the feeling like victims, is I can change this. A lot of people feel they can't change their lives. They feel like I'm a victim of circumstance. This is the hand I've been dealt. But when you understand the core programming that it can be changed, it completely switches things around, and life can radically change. Okay, so people become empowered to take charge and move forward in their life from wherever they are. That's what this work is about. So you can show people where they are on their spiritual map of life in the contract, how far they've progressed, and teach you how to give very specific recommendations how to overcome the issues they're facing in the moment. So how do you move forward to the next step? And then helping them align to their soul destiny or life purpose. And it really touches people as you've been touched, Nicole. You can feel that, just hearing all that truth in the past half hour. And I've been doing this 32 years, but it still opens me up to having a lot of compassion for people, seeing the power of what this can do. It still surprises me. I've done thousands of readings. So it's very satisfying as a practitioner to be able to help people awaken. Okay. So I just said this bit here about giving readings. Better practice, you can deliver readings after the workshop. Especially the main thing is to practice and just do the work. Don't spend time trying to learn it all, remember it all, and read it all. Just get out there and practice and deliver. And if you can get over that first part, then people are up and running. I usually find that's the best thing, because the mind will try and overthink things a lot. Okay, so any questions about what we've just talked about there? Just to give you an overview. Karen.
So I have a question, and so I've done my charts on the website. I've been married too many times, but my question is I was born with my mom's maiden name, but I didn't know that. So I used my dad's name my whole life, not knowing until I was like 1998. So I have both charts, but I don't know which one is the one I should actually be working through.
The birth certificate, which has your mother's name on, is the first chart you should look at. Okay, that's the primary chart. But the name with your father's name you change to is what we call an overlay, which is not covered in the book. It's like a layer of icing which infuses into the cake of the birth name. So you can't use the book to understand what that means. It's another level of the work. It's level 2. It's how different. You have to unmute. You have to come off the.
I said that's my life in general. It's never simple. It's always complicated. Even when I'm trying to do the healing work, it's just chaotic. So anyway.
Yeah, you need a proper reading from someone, a practitioner, to explain the effect of the icing of that overlay on the birth chart. But in your case, you probably need to read both to find out what's really going on. Okay. Nicole? Bottom left.
Yeah, hi. I had a question with regards to names. When you use the birth name, but then what happens to sort of your path if you change your name, for example, due to marriage?
This is the overlay effect, another layer of icing, which is level 2. we teach how all that stuff works. So it's not something we teach in the first level, but basically there is a meaning, and it's very carefully designed by the soul. Who you marry, who you divorce, who you don't marry, who your kids are, it's all designed. So it's a whole energy environment created. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Kathy has a question. Kathy, can you come online so that we can actually talk? It's much simpler than being on chat, if possible. I've just... If I could see you, that would help us connect. Only if you're up for it.
Okay. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You can switch the video on if you're up for it. Don't have to if you don't want. Okay, okay, so what's your question, Kathy?
Well, I was wondering how long the process takes. I have done some numbers, but you know, it was interesting listening to everything that you did. Yeah, I'd be interested in having that done for myself. So how does that all work?
Oh, you mean talking about a reading?
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess.
A reading takes about an hour to prepare, an hour to deliver if you use the birth chart only. Okay. But if you want to answer some of the questions like some of the others have been asking, well, what's the effect of my married name, or Karen's case, I had 2 names. That's called an overlay reading. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, because we look at the birth chart first, but then we look at the effect of all the different layers of icing, which fill out the story much more. So an hour and a half to 2 hours to go really in depth, to look at significant names you've used and other relationships you've had. Okay. Most people go for that because they want to know everything when they realize what this can do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Kayera, you got a question. So what I'm going to do, if you just say yes to being a panelist, then you can come online and we can chat. Okay. So.
Hello. Hi.
Okay. Okay, you're there. Okay. Kayera, what's your question? Thanks for coming online. You're a bit frozen. Yeah.
I have done this a couple times, and I'm through it with you. Okay.
Yeah, I think Matthew, the sound's not good. Matthew, we just maybe switch your video off so all the bandwidth goes to the audio so we can hear you clearly. Okay, now try.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi is going in and out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're very clear.
Okay. So yes, I have went through this a couple times, and every time I go through, I find it very interesting. So my question is, how do you in what way are you supposed to go through far as how to use the chart? Like once you have everything written down,
yeah,
how do you go? Is that like you have to go through the training to really understand that aspect of it?
Well, you can just use the book. That's what the book is for. The book is designed as a manual for you as a light worker, which I wish I had when I was 20 when I woke up. So you can just look at the book and everything that's in there that you need to understand the chart. You don't have to learn to be a practitioner just to read your own chart. Okay.
Okay.
So you just do the chart on the software, which I think you've done already by the sounds of it. Then look up all the specific aspects in the book, and then look up. Some will resonate, some won't, and then look at the recommendations of what you do about it. And then that'll give you a pretty good picture. Or beyond that, the next step is to have a live reading where a practitioner will put things together for you to specifically answer whatever questions you have about your life. And they'll give you very focused recommendations on how to move forward from wherever you are, because obviously a book can't do that. but it's more a dialogue and a conversation, and they can work out exactly where you are and how to move you forward. Does that help?
It definitely does help. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. All right. Julia, you got a question. Can you come online? It's better just to have a conversation. Okay, Julia, if you switch your mic on, then we can have a chat. Bottom left. Yeah, there you go. Try now.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Great.
What's your question?
This was really great, by the way. Thanks for, I'm glad I stumbled upon this. I had a reading done for me through a practitioner that basically you just send the information to them over email and they send you a PDF that sort of goes through it.
Yeah.
And as I was looking through, I noticed that the orientation of the numbers were slightly different on the triangles.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if that makes a difference. And I wrote in the chat that the spiritual gifts were on the top, for example, as opposed to the goals. So I just wasn't sure if that was like something that is important, or as long as like you have the numbers and it's.
As long as I'm not familiar with who the practitioner is. So we do not recommend email readings because there is no connection between the practitioner and you, no live connection to find out the context of where you are. Okay. So it's always better to have a live reading because then you get the answers to where, based on where you exactly are now, and there's a to and fro, there's questions and stuff, because it's more a connection of the two higher selves. So that the email reading will give you some information, but in terms of meeting your need to know exactly, well, what I do now, it doesn't work very well.
Right.
Okay. So
yeah, and I was actually thinking of booking something so that I could get some clarification on that, because I also have a icing layer because I am married and I'm now using my married name in my business. So I feel like that's very significant because that's the name that I'm basically using as my business name, which I think will be important. So I'll probably
then you need an overlay reading where we look at all the different names and see, especially for business, you got to be very careful. You got to make sure the name is attracting the right type of clients. And it's reflecting what the business is doing. Makes a massive difference in terms of getting it right. Yeah. So you've got some useful information, I'd say, from the email reading, but really an in-person one is the best way to get very accurate answers on how to move forward. Okay. But the main thing is you made a start. You got some information. That's what matters. So.
Yeah, and it was very accurate as far as from what I could piece together from everything. So it's really
okay. All right. I'm just seeing. Has everyone asked the questions they want to ask? I think they have. Hang on. Oh, Barbara's had to go. Okay. All right. Any other questions, anybody? No. Okay. We'll just finish off then. Yeah. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to clear my throat again. So if you're drawn to come to learn how to do this, we do it twice a year. We do, it's split in two this in the spring. We do spring training and we do a training in October, September, October, autumn. Running over 2 weekends. The first 3 days is 25th to 27th of March, where we give you the transmission of the meaning of the numbers. The 2nd, 3rd of April for the practice. This is for the California moms that said, don't have much holiday, Nicolas, but I could split it over 2 weekends and my husband can look after the kids. So this is why we do that. And it runs on Zoom, 12:30 to 8:30 UK, 7:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon Eastern. And for the West Coast, North America, it starts at 4:30 to 12 in the morning. That's early, but this is the latest I can teach to 8:30 from practice. I can't go any later, maintain quality. So it goes 4:30 a.m. to 12:30 midday. Just means going to bed early, basically. So if you're interested, you can find out more at self-contract-reading-training.com. The total cost is 652 UK, about 850 US, but you can reserve your place with a deposit of 250 UK and about 325 US if you're interested. Okay, so that's how you can find out what's going on. If you're in Asia, some people may watch this later, we have an Asian training, we have an Asia Pacific training that runs 10th to the 14th of March. So if you're an early bird, say Nicole, you can start at 6 o'clock in the UK. Some people want to do that 2 p.m., but it's designed for Australia especially. West Coast, East Coast of Australia, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. New South Wales, Tasmania, Victoria, where most people are, Hong Kong, 2 to 10 p.m. We have a few people from India, 11:30 in the morning. Okay, some of the Middle East, Gulf Standard Time, 10 a.m., it's pretty civilized. That's the other separate training that's running as well. For anyone out in the East, okay? So that's pretty much it really. And you can contact me, email me, or if you have any other questions. Are there any other questions before we finish? Put on the chat. Everyone seems done. Okay, thank you for your participation, especially Nicole, bearing your soul. And we will email this out to you in a few days once it's processed. Okay, and hope you enjoyed it. Okay, all right. Take care.
Thanks very much, Nicolas.
Okay, bye.